What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Conan, entitled Revengeance. This is released on Napalm Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Liverpool, England in the United Kingdom, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very cinematic, loud, Norse mythology-inspired style of stoner doom metal. Yeah. I remember many years ago I was in a conversation with my very good friend Hugh Morgan, and he is always the type of guy to always recommend me bands that are very heavy, and knowing his eclectic, diverse sort of metal tastes, he would always hit the spot with recommendations. But one band in particular that he brought up to mind that seemed to have passed me by was a band he brought up called Conan. And he asked me if I had ever heard of Conan, and I said, no, I have not, but I will definitely check it out. But for some odd, strange reason, having an opportunity to listen to that band seemed to be very way in the back of my weird little brain. And it wasn't until recently I found out that Conan were coming out with a new album. And the light bulb clicked inside of me, and you know what? It was about high time that I stopped putting off listening to this band, and then I finally dove into what Conan were all about. Yeah, as you can tell by their band name, their imagery, their concepts, they have a very cinematic, film-like sort of quality to their style of doom metal. Very riff-laden, epic-sounding vocals, great musical compositions, and it was very evidented on this band's first two full-length albums. Mind you, once again, I'm a little green on this band, so I'm going off of first-hand experiences by listening to this band. Their 2012 debut, Manos, and their even better 2014 album, Blood Eagle. Two really excellent cases of awesome doom metal done properly, and very much a curveball, if you will, to this style of doom metal. You don't really, if you hear this kind of style of doom metal, you really don't know what you're going to be in for. But I think Conan delivers some really awesome treats with releases like Manos and Blood Eagle. But fast forwarding to now, I believe there's been somewhat of a shakeup in this band's lineup. New guitar player, new drummer, if I'm not mistaken, and they have moved forward now with a third full-length album entitled Revengeance. It's 6 tracks, and it clocks in at around 47 minutes in length, and pretty much the switch-up of band members didn't really seem to get into the way of Conan handling their business the way they knew how to do it. And with Revengeance, you're going to get what you normally would expect from a band like this, but also some twists and turns that you don't really see coming. And the selling point of an album like Revengeance is, without question to me, the guitar playing. I would be lying if I said I didn't think this was the best entire thing about this entire Conan release. Revengeance would be the guitar playing, and I think that is the absolute highlight, shining moment of this entire record. I mean, take the track Thunderhoof. That song in particular is the one defining song that really brings out the best in what Conan do for their style of doom metal. Very loud, abrasive, knuckle-dragging styles of riffs being presented in that one song. It only gets slower and chunkier and heavier from there. I mean, the guitar playing on that song is just so mesmerizing. You feel very entranced when you listen to riffs on that song. And then you get to later tracks like Wrath Gauntlet and Every Man is an Enemy. Just some incredibly powerful guitar playing being brought on here. The riff work is very smart and intelligent, and it really does hold your attention all the way throughout. The bass tone, like the guitar, is very clear, very audible. You can hear it. It does hold itself on its own very nicely. Very, very much what you would normally hope for in a stoner doom or doom metal sort of sort of release when you expect to hear a thick and well-layered bass tone. You think you hear it quite lovely and quite nicely here, but this is an album that is all about the riffs. There are riffs and riffs and riffs for days to be heard on this album, and they are probably some of the best doom metal riffs you'll hear in 2016, in my humble opinion. I think that this is just really some amazing guitar playing to be done on here. Moving on to the drums, I think the drumming on here is very solid, but to be perfectly honest, I think the drumming works best when it's slow. When the drumming is slow, that's when you feel Conan reaches their maximum peak. They sound phenomenal when the drumming is well layered and methodical and slow. Take the title track Revengeance, where you hear blast beats at the very beginning of the song. That's something you really don't see coming. I mean, if you listen to doom metal, the last thing you would ever want to expect is blast beats. But they're there, and they have that almost unpolished improvisational sort of approach going for it when you hear that style of drumming on that particular song. But going back to the slower, lengthier tracks of this record, going back to songs like Thunderhoof and Wrath Gauntlet, that is the best style of drumming to be heard on this entire release. I love the fact that this drummer can play at the pace that he does in such a marvelous way. I really love when he plays slower. Not to knock his fast style of drumming, because I think this new drummer sounds really solid, but I think the slow moments are way better. Because when you listen to a doom metal record, you don't really expect things to be quicker. You expect things to be a lot slower and more methodical, and if you're up to that kind of challenge, the slow tracks on here really are worth your time and attention, and I think it's awesome to listen to. And moving on to the vocals are another interesting aspect about Conan. It adds to that almost storytelling, cinematic sort of vibe going for them. You have these really unique, high-end sort of yelling style of vocals. It's like a singing style of vocals, but then you have these really rough, animalistic sort of growls going on. When you hear those two vocal styles layered together, it adds to that almost cinematic effect. And I think these vocals are very intriguing. I don't know how they'll sit with the listener, but I think the dual vocal attack that's being done on here really works out quite nicely. I love this vocal style being done here, especially when it comes to this band's almost mythological sort of concept in their lyrics. And the stories that are being woven on these 6 tracks really hold your attention and make you want to care a little more. They make you want to pay attention to what's being represented on Revengeance. And I think they tell some amazing stories here. It's very engrossing stuff. But overall, I don't know if I like this album in comparison to what Conan has put out previously. I would still hold the top high honors to an album like Blood Eagle, but I think Revengeance is another solid album from this band. I think it's a little different in comparison to what they've put out before, but I still think it's very much a worthy purchase if you are into doom metal, or if you're into doom that has these sort of elaborate, epic sort of concepts going for them. I think this is some really awesome, very well put together stuff. The guitar riffs are incredible. Very much worth your time. The slow stuff is what matters the most here on this album. You just gotta listen to Thunderhoof, and you're all set from there, I would say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box to some selected tracks off of this album, preferably Throne of Fire and Revengeance. Those are the 2 songs that are available through the Napalm Records YouTube channel. And I will also link you to where you can purchase physical copies of it via Europe and North America. It is currently available on CD and 12-inch vinyl, and they will be doing a lot of touring. This band does do a frequent amount of touring, whether it be in Europe or North America, so keep your eyes and ears out for that, whether or not they will be touring anywhere near your city in the immediate future. So, again, the album is Revengeance by Conan. This is released on Napalm Records. Go check this out. And also, I'm going to leave you a link in the description box to Hugh Morgan's channel, so go subscribe to him. He's a really incredible dude, awesome YouTuber, in massive, massive collection. And as far as the score is concerned, I'm going to give this a pretty solid 8 out of 10. Very awesome stoner doom. This could grow on me with time, but for what it's worth, the slow, dirge-like riffs on here are just so sensational to listen to. So if you happen to have heard this album, let me know what you think of it and how you think it compares to previous Conan records. So I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Armijo out.